Good morning. My name is Janet Coonsey. I'm the service coordinator this morning. I'm filling in for Allison, who got snowed in. So, welcome for being here today, here at All Souls Church, where our mission is to seek truth, practice love, and celebrate life. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you've been a member for a long time, you are welcome here. Whatever faith you have known or not known, or whatever your heritage, you are welcome here. Whatever questions you hold, whatever truths you seek, whatever sorrow you have known, whatever joy has filled your heart, whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. We have a few announcements this morning. First one I may make note of is that today is our mid-year meeting, congregational meeting, and we need everyone to stay, all the members to stay after today so we make sure we have a quorum so we can get care of business. Also, there's a little handout in your bulletin that has some questions on it. The program committee would like your input. So if you know something you would like spoken about or someone you would like to give a message, let us know. We're still needing help for the banquet on Thursday, January 25th. We need people to serve. We have all our prep people, but we need some more people to serve, and a sign-up sheet is in the back. So please consider that. Other announcements that are in your bulletin are that next Sunday, here at church, we're going to have Erica Iverson speaking about the Healthline Center and what they're up to. She was scheduled to speak last week when we had to cancel, so we moved people around a little bit. So we'll have her next week, and Paul Thompson will be a later date. Yes.
What did you say about me?
You'll be rescheduled. Yeah. We haven't forgotten you. Yeah, you're not next week. And there is a note here about someone who, David Rich, the author of the Anti-Racist Trainings, and looks like it's a webinar. If you'd like any information about anti-racism trainings and how they've been taking over some churches and things, and Paul has a word to say about that.
Yeah, I was the one to put that in. The Anti-Racism Trainings was a book that was written in 2009 by a man who had previously been a staffer at the UU World, the magazine of our denomination. He began to see things that were going on in the denomination that made him more and more uncomfortable, and he wrote this book. It's a book about a fictional sect, very much like UUism. They're called the Yoopers, and instead of having 7 principles, they have 6 suggestions as their way of viewing reality. And the book is quite amusing, in a very unfortunate sort of way. He will be interviewed, talking about his views of what's going on now in the denomination, and those who tune in might find something of interest. I'm certainly going to listen.
Do we have any other announcements?
On Thursday?
Good morning, everyone. There is a women's circle happening this Thursday night here at All Souls from 7 to 8:30 for any woman who feels like attending.
Okay, at this time, I believe all the announcements are through. Then we'll move on to our prelude. At this time, we'll have our chalice lighting. We arrive out of many singular rooms, walking over the branching streets. We come to be assured that brothers and sisters surround us to restore their images on our eyes. We enlarge our voices in common, speaking and singing. We try again that solitude found in the midst of those who with us seek their hidden reckonings. Our eyes reclaim the remembered faces. Their voices stir the surrounding air. The warmth of their hands assures us, and the gladness of our spoken names. This is the reason of cities, of homes, of assemblies in the houses of worship. It is good to be with one another. And now we'll have our first song, which is number 42 in the gray hymnal, Morning So Fair to See. And now we'll have our first reading, which is number 591. Which is, I call that church free. So please read the italicized after I'm reading the regular type. I call that church free which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence. It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. I call that church free, which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship. It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to new and living language, to new and broader fellowship. It is the pilgrim church The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of prophesying, the other for the ministry of healing.
Yeah.
And now we'll have our story for all ages.
So the children can come up and sit in the front if you would. Are we on? Okay. Great to see you. I wondered how many of you would be here today in this cold, windy day. So I admire people that are tough enough to brave the weather. This is a story called Stormmaker's Teepee, about how the Native Americans dealt with the cold and the wind back in the old days. So Morning Plume was a young native hunter, and he was learning how to hunt, and his Morning Plume had killed his first buffalo. He was learning to feed his people. But while they were skinning the animal, they never noticed Stormmaker approaching. Out of the murky northern horizon, white snow clouds were rushing across the plains. When they saw Bringer of Blizzards, he was sweeping down upon them. So there's the dark clouds with the snow and the wind and the buffalo that they shot. And now he shot it with his bow and arrow. And now they're taking care of the buffalo, and they didn't pay attention to the storm. Blinded by the wind-driven snow, they cowered behind the shelter of the dead buffalo. Sacred Otter lay close to his son and pulled the fresh skin over them. Snow drifted, the skin froze. They were protected from the terrible cold and wind. In the darkness underneath the snow, Sacred Otter, that's the dad's name, did not know night from day. He hardly knew whether he was awake or sleeping. Perhaps he was dreaming. So here's the snow in the mountains, and he's dreaming about something more pleasant. Then he was walking again through a thicket of bushes. He could see a teepee in the distance. He wanted to reach it, but wondered if he would ever be able to. He shivered. Wrapping his blanket tighter around him, Sacred Otter walked on. So he's walking toward the teepee in the distance, and he's afraid he's not going to make it through the storm. The teepee was immense. It was huge, like no other he had seen. Its yellow top and red winter sun reached the sky. Stretching down from it were the legs and claws of the fearsome thunderbird who lives in the storm clouds. Sacred Otter walked cautiously around to the front, wondering who lived in such a teepee. There was a red buffalo head with green eyes, and bunches of horsehair were hanging beside the door. This was closed, yet wisps of smoke wafting through the smoke hole above told Sacred Otter that somebody was inside. "I know you are standing out there," a big voice from inside said. "Why don't you come in?" Sacred Otter stepped inside the enormous teepee. An old man was sitting at the back smoking his pipe. "I am Stormmaker, bringer of blizzards," he said at last. "Everyone fears me. You know my power. But I will not let you and your boy die in this storm. I have brought you here to show you my teepee. When the warm weather returns, paint one just like it. Then your family will be safe from storms always. Hang branches of horsehair by your door, and you will be rich with many horses as well." Sacred Otter awoke and saw that the storm and the wind had abated. So the wind went down and the storm stopped. Stormmaker kept his promise and held back the blizzard until Sacred Otter reached home again with his son. When the springtime came, people helped paint Stormmaker's teepee exactly as Sacred Otter remembered it. They tied bunches of horsehair by the door. They called it the snow teepee, or the bad weather lodge. And so they kept their promise because the storm maker kept his promise that they would be spared from the storm. And so they kept their promise to paint their teepee just like he saw in his dream. And so that was how they dealt with the cold and the wind back in the old days when the Native Americans had lots of buffalo to hunt all over South Dakota. Okay, thanks for your listening. Thanks for being here. And now we'll sing you out to your class. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
We have a tradition here, which many of you know, of taking a rock from the bowl and sharing a joy or concern that is heavy on your heart. Well, a concern would be heavy on your heart, a joy would be joyous. But taking that, warming it in your hand as you share, and then putting it into the water chalice so that the ripples go out, representing that the joy or concern is going out amongst us. I'll begin, and I have a joy just that we're having a family gathering together today, and it's just good to know that everybody's doing okay and that we're able to get together. So please come forward as you wish to share a joy or concern.
Hi, my name is Christy, and I've got a couple different concerns. I've actually got a couple rocks for my parents. My dad did not get the news that he was hoping to get after his cancer treatment. And so this is for my mom and dad as they kind of go through some tough decisions that they need to make. I've also got a stone for my Zeus. You know, I got 2 puppies. Zeus has been undergoing seizures, and he had multiple seizures on Tuesday, and I thought I was going to lose him. And fortunately, he is still with me. We're going to try a new medication. But this is for him so he continues to be okay.
My name is Edie Ann Hafke, and my one joy is I'm still with Jennifer Havlick, and she's still my wife. We're not legally married, but she's still my wife. And my concern right now is, well, let me drop this for Jennifer. And my concerns right now is I've got a whole bunch of people I need to be thinking and praying for, and hope that they'll all get better with whatever they've picked up and stuff. So I hope that I hope that this isolation will end for them real soon.
I'm Alan, and I'm happy to share the news that on behalf of Pat and Connie, who usually sit right over here, Connie Larwood had 3 surgeries in 2 days. He's recovering well at Avera. So we're very thankful for that. I saw them yesterday, and he anticipates being hospitalized somewhat longer and maybe going to rehab. But anyway, the surgeries went well on his neck and back.
Good morning. This is a stone of joy for my nephew and his wife who had their first child January 12th.
Hi, I'm Tom, and this is just a stone of joy for my two friends, Tess and Marlo, who got engaged last night.
Anyone else? In that case, we'll put in one last stone for all those joys and concerns in our hearts that are unspoken, but need to be shared in some way. And here they are. Let's have a moment for reflection on what we've heard. All right, let's move on to our second song, As Tranquil Streams, number 145. Now we have our second reading, number 594. 594 is Principles and Purposes for All of Us. Again, I'll read the regular if you would respond with the italics. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We believe that all people should be treated fairly. We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. We believe that our churches are places where all people are accepted and where we keep on learning together. We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We believe that each person must be free to search for what is true and right in life. We affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. We believe that all people should We affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Oh, we affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.
Thank you, Janet, for filling in today at short notice when Allison got snowbound. I didn't think that happened anymore, but when we grew up on a farm a long time ago in another century in another county, it wasn't unusual to get snowed in. But Joe and Allison, as you may or may not know, live somewhere between Garrison and Del Rapids, and I guess they get a lot of wind out there. So big thanks to Janet for filling in. We have a lot to celebrate as we look back over the past year. And I was thinking about this in relation to the television awards and movie awards that are happening in this time of the year. And it would be neat if our semi-annual meeting could be actually more like the award season, and we'd have lots of applause and standing ovations and recognizing people, because there's so many of you that ought to be recognized for all that you've done in the past year. And so I'm going to try to highlight some in random order. It's not taking anything in particular like top 10, although that would have been fun too. But anyway, we have a lot to celebrate. And so I'll point out, for example, we have a care team which began to function, and there are 5 of us officially as part of that, and we've been helping out, and it was written about in the e-blast a week ago. And so anyway, that's one achievement. Another one would be the steady meditation series every Sunday morning. There's 3 or 4 or 5, and sometimes close to 10 who are here at 9:15 in order to have meditation. We have 2 leaders, so the responsibility doesn't fall on just one person, and that's a good thing. Another great thing that I'm so excited about is our technology and the live streaming that we do every Sunday morning now. And a couple weeks ago when I was sick with COVID, I was able to watch it at home like people do. And it came through very well. And the numbers are really impressive. It's not unusual to have 20 views or more on our YouTube channel for these Sunday morning programs. I did the analysis of the last 6 weeks, and the mean number or average is actually 23, and the median is 18. So we're getting a lot of people. I don't think it's just our own members, but I think there's other people out in the community that are following us. The record high was 106 views for Jean Morrow on December 17th. So she's got quite a following, but that was impressive. We've made a transition in our spiritual education program to went from 1 leader who was overworked to 3 leaders, and a transition in the curriculum that we have, and also have hired a child care person who's been here very faithfully and consistently, and so and put substantial money in the budget for that. So that's another achievement from the past year. We had a few parents trained in the OWL program, Our Whole Lives, for human relationship learning, human sexuality, and so that sets a foundation for a whole generation of kids to be able to benefit from that when they reach the age of appropriate learning. We've hired a cleaning service. We found out about a lot of talent in the congregation that we didn't know about before a year ago. So that's been fun to see as well. So thanks to everybody who's participated in the various things. And then finally, the leadership of our president, John Cunningham, has helped us to revise our policies and procedures and also to create some new teams, functioning teams, to do things that we haven't been doing as much lately in the recent years. And so that kind of teamwork that has spawned by John's leadership has been really exciting to see. So looking forward into the next year, of course, we don't know the future. We don't know what kind of challenges we'll face. Think back to 2020 when we had no idea that a pandemic was on the horizon. But hopefully it won't be anything like that. We do need to deepen and strengthen our spiritual education program. We have consistent attendance each Sunday, and we hope that that will continue and will grow and deepen and strengthen the work of our teams as well as we welcome and integrate new people. We have people visiting all the time, and some of them decide to come back, some don't. Some decide to come back again and again and remain friends of our congregation without actually becoming members, and then some actually do become members. So there's various levels of involvement that people choose, and we want to meet everybody where they are and welcome them at whatever level of involvement they want to choose. And we may have to find some creative solutions to the parking problem that sometimes arises when we have a larger attendance than we do today. And so that might be a challenge on the horizon for us as well. And in order to help the program team, as Janet announced, we have this extra insert today to get some ideas from you. We have lots of ideas in our program team, but we know that we don't have all the ideas. And so if there's some speaker that you would like to hear from, someone local, could be one of our members or not, but you could put their name down, or some organization locally that you'd like to hear more about, or perhaps a topic. So if you'd like to take a writing utensil, and Janet has a few extras if you need one, raise your hand, and turn these in with the offering, and that'll make it smooth and not cumbersome to try to collect them later. So feel free to do this, and I know you're capable of multitasking and listening to me while you write something down. So that's what I have under looking forward. And then the topic of looking inward. This one, in my mind, has been interesting to wrestle with, and it caused some soul searching for myself, because for quite a long time I was really adamant about using as much secular language as possible and avoiding the use of religious language for the benefit of people who come from a background that may have been less than a pleasant experience in traditional religion. And so we want to help people to feel welcome and not have PTSD, as some have put it, about being part of a church. And so I've tried to use this more secular language. And along those lines, I'll just mention a couple of examples. I like to call this a songbook instead of a hymn book. But if anybody calls it a hymn book, it's okay. We're not going to chastise anybody for using the wrong language. But I'm just telling you this is kind of where I'm coming from. But another one that is interesting to me is the word bulletin. And I used to think that it was related to the word bullet, and I didn't want anything to do with those. But actually, if you look up the etymology of bulletin, it means a small bull, meaning like a papal bull. If you know church history, the popes used to send out an edict, and it was sent with a bull, which I think was actually in inscription or like a seal on the back. But anyway, that's the etymology of the word bulletin, and so it means a small bull. Instead of bullet, it's bulletin. So it's a small edict from the Pope, basically. And that's not what we have in our Sunday morning program. And so I do call it the printed program. You could call it something else if you wanted to, but I shy away from that word bulletin because of that interesting history. So, for what it's worth. Yeah. Well, that's another. Thank you. It's also too much like the word bully, and you know, if you work in the school system, it's a bully is a 5-letter word, and it's one that you don't want to be using. So, yeah, we don't want to be bullied by the bulletin, much less by the preacher. Okay, getting back to this subject of welcoming everybody. It was pointed out at some point in the last year that there was something online in a All Souls website or Facebook page or something that was critical of traditional Christianity. And so it was pointed out very astutely that we wouldn't tolerate anything that was anti-Semitic or against Muslims or against Buddhist people on our website. So why do we tolerate criticism of traditional Christianity? And so that's where the soul searching came. And so in wrestling with this, I recognize that we need to be able to welcome everybody, including people that have a more traditional Christian faith or understanding of life, and who may not have had the difficult experience with traditional Christianity that some people have had. And so in that spirit, for Christmas Eve, I made it a point to use lots of Christmas songs, traditional Christmas songs, and also to give a message that was embracing the original Christmas story as told in Matthew and Luke, and find kernels of wisdom and truth and inspiration in that story, and just simply appreciate that and not think about all of the checkered history of the Christian church, which we can always find reasons to criticize. But that story of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth has a lot of value. And so if you missed it on Christmas Eve, you can go to YouTube and see it. But anyway, that's just an example of my own evolution, I guess, in this regard. And so that is the looking inward section of the title today. Then looking outward, thinking about the community, the larger community that we are a part of, I think we have something to celebrate in the fact that we give half of our plate offering away every Sunday. And I don't know how many churches in Sioux Falls can make that claim. And so we support a lot of good causes. The program team discusses various ideas and comes up with a recommendation, and then that's brought to the board for final approval. Sometimes it's a month at a time, sometimes it's 2 months at a time. And so we've been able to support some very good causes by doing that, and that's something that we can be justly proud of. In addition, our outreach into the community would include serving at the banquet coming up this Thursday, and something that we do on a regular basis. And then there's the various ways that we support the Native American community. And one time when I was thinking about this, it really hit me that we do quite a bit, from the beautiful mural by Jerry Fogg that we see every Sunday, either subconsciously or consciously, and think about the meaning of that. We have usually a speaker, at least one speaker from the Native American community each year. We help the kids at Rosebud with our holiday appeal. We've done that. No, it's not the holiday appeal. It's a special December appeal for Rosebud, which we've done, I think, 3 years in a row now. And in addition to that, last year we helped the Standing Rock kids get T-shirts, matching T-shirts, through a connection which Carol has with Teresa Staley, who's from Sioux Falls. Those are a few examples. And then, of course, last year we had the highlight of supporting Mato Standing Soldier, who has a long history in this congregation and has now made it big in California. And we had ushers serving at the Levitt Shell when he had a concert in June. And that same month, we had a nice reception for him and his mother downstairs. That still brings tears to my eyes. That was, to me, a highlight of this past year. And now we can look forward to hearing Clara Jacobs speak to us in March about that charity, which was started by Mato's father before his passing and still supports the needs of Native Americans coming out of the justice system. I believe it's called Wo Ohitike. So that's something we can look forward to in March. So anyway, those are, oh, and not to, last but not least, a ministry at the prison. Peter and Mike Huber was doing this until he moved away, teaching yoga at the prison consistently, week after week. And we decided at some point that we want to call this a ministry of all souls, even though it's not got a lot of attention or a lot of publicity, but that's something else that two of our members have done for a long time. And so that includes a lot of Native Americans at the prison. So those are all, I think, important aspects of looking outward and seeing what the needs are in our community and what we're doing. And it's often said that as a denomination, the Unitarian Universalists are making a bigger impact than our size would indicate. And that's one of the examples of that, which you've heard me mention before, is that last year, before the elections, there was training for people helping to keep peace at the polls, provided by Unitarian Universalists around the country. I'm sure that'll take place again this fall for the next election. And so, speaking of the UUA, that would be one other aspect of looking outward beyond ourselves and our own four walls here. And so, our UUA has some cross currents and growing pains, whatever we want to call it. And the announcement that Paul made about the anti-racism training is one example of kind of a minority opinion within the leadership of the UUA as far as how we deal with the issue of racism. And in my own mind, I kind of, maybe this is the easy way out, but I think in South Dakota, our issue with racism is more about our relations with Native Americans than with blacks. And so that's why I'm so proud of what we're doing to minister and become more aware of Native American issues in our region. And so that to me is our way of dealing with racism here in South Dakota. But as a denomination, for the past several years, the emphasis has been on dismantling white supremacy in the UUA community and throughout its higher echelons. And so as part of that process, they do a lot of education about white supremacy and racism, and some would say it's overdone. And part of that whole issue is also related to the so-called second article, which is the sort of articles of incorporation of the denomination. And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but these are required to be revised every 15 years or so. And so the latest revision is currently taking place. They came up with a document last October, and the most salient aspect of that, which is getting a lot of attention, is that it proposes to replace the 7 principles, which we just read, incidentally, in our second reading, and which are printed on the back of our printed program every Sunday, to replace those 7 principles with 6 values. And the 6 values are not as succinct as the 7 principles, and they are perhaps leaving out some important ideas. So there's a controversy about that, and the process is to have a vote at the assembly in the summer whether or not to adopt these new 6 values instead of the 7 principles as part of that Article 2. So there is a copy of the proposed Article 2, which we made 20 copies or so for distribution at our meeting later this morning, for those of you who would like to see that. And so that's in the interest of education and not promotion. But I think the final thing I want to say about that is that whatever is done at the national level doesn't have to divide us here at All Souls. It doesn't have to be a bone of contention necessarily. And I think in the spirit of welcoming everyone and welcoming opposing points of view, we want to be able to be tolerant of people who have different opinions about this and not necessarily make it a bigger deal than it really is. And so as I transitioned away from the previous denomination I was part of, I was happy to leave church politics behind. And I prefer to do the same thing with the UUA and not get too uptight about whatever is done at the national level, because they have an important role, and yet they don't control what we do locally, I guess is how I would summarize it. And so we can observe and we can be respectful and we can have differences of opinion, but we don't have to die on that hill, if I could put it that way. So that's probably as much as I need to say for now. And if we finish early, we'll be able to sing all 3 verses of Lean on Me, which I was hoping we could do, and get our meeting underway and get home sooner rather than later. So thanks for your attention. May it be so for us.
Let's go ahead and sing that 3rd song next. It's in the Teal book. That's the little skinny one. Number 1021, which is Lean on Me.
Somebody to lean on, I just might have a
And in that spirit, we're going to move on to our offering. At this month, we're giving to
South
Somebody-
Dakota Voices for
South
Peace.
Dakota Voices for Peace. And just so you know, the last 2 months, we gave to Veterans Community Project, the tiny houses and the support system for the veterans, and we gave $715 to them. Woo-hoo. Let's say together the words to receive the offering. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Scott? Okay. The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world.
Blame it on the wind.
thank you. As we mentioned earlier, we'll have the annual meeting shortly after we adjourn here. And all of the members are please ask if you can possibly stay, do so that we ensure that we have a quorum. And all the non-members here are invited to stay, and you can learn a little bit about what the church's operations are and what we're doing and so forth. So although the minister gave a really good description of that, but you can learn a lot about the church and what we're doing. So you're invited, and the members are very much encouraged. Thanks. Yes, I think let's meet at 10 after, so that we can not run too much longer than. It seems like meetings run forever. We'll try to get the president to cut things shorter.
Goodies are in the back and coffee if you'd like some. Oh, yeah, coffee back here. Good morning. I was wondering, I've been live 3 or 4 meetings on, this week is the 21st. I need some work for me on the 11th and the 18th. So, I figured if you'd like that, the week before we could do it together again, just make sure that you understand that and whatnot, but, yeah. I know it's not fun doing it after, like, you take it out. Okay, thank you. But there's also. Yeah. Yes. Mine are too. And you know, I've been feeling my bad with new things, and every time I do it, I die. All my calluses, they stay whatever color I put away.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, great use of